today, as we are looking into our project builds, we realize that we have all these tools at our disposal. Some AI tools to help us probably create interfaces and many other things that we use. But we realized that the projects we really were creating still need more to be desired to meet sort of a global standard, not a global, a standard, I can say, to meet a standard that users feel comfortable using them, and also they can generate revenue. So because of that, we are starting our second and last half of the bootcamp, which is the next 8 weeks with React. So we know well that there is AI, but we want to understand the fundamentals and also practice together. Practice to make sure that we can build these apps. As we expand our knowledge on smart contracts and other things by taking the Web3 space. So before I go any further, I had a meetup with the team at Third Web, and if you need to use any of their paid for sort of like stuff in your product, you can request for a coupon, and then you can get some for free. So Third Web has a very good documentation. They have a wallet sign-in, and they have a universal bridge which you can integrate into your application, probably add in your custom logic or add on your additional fees. So you're using their, but most of their components are free, probably, unless you're going for, or you've really started having many users for your app. And yes, on Wednesday we are having Gateway FM. So Gateway is a platform. They help like protocols, bootstrap, things like layer 2s. So yes, we shall have them at 4 p.m. EIT, and they'll be demystifying most things about Ethereum, the EVM, bytecode, opcodes, and stuff like that. It could be an opportunity for probably someone to get some work or an internship, and also to understand like these things deeper away from me. So yes, other than that, I think let's get started. Alright, so let me share my screen. So for these sessions, we are going to be moving for, we are going to be using a little less time, 2 hours. So we shall have to avoid we shall still have our Twitter spaces on Thursdays at 8 p.m. So we want to have these sessions from 5 to 8, no, to 7. Oh, my network is lost. Okay, I'm back. So from 5 to 7, 5, 6, 7, 7 p.m. And most of the work is going to be to practice. My intention with this session is for us to practice. The good thing now with what makes a difference with a lot of code is those mini touches that you do on your code to make it optimal, to make it compatible with many things, to make it functional, like the backend works. So, and some of those additional things really the AI gets a bit like off. So you need to start like sort of fix them manually, and you need to know where they are. So I think as Jovan said, the best thing you could also do in these times, as there is a hype of all these things is to understand, develop it and understand it well, and also understand these AI systems. Yeah. All right. Because really one of the challenges, or some of the challenges we have in Africa is not the builders themselves, but we don't have products. We have very few products in the ecosystem that are standing, but we have a lot of, I can say, fairly done builds that don't go anywhere. So yeah, it's upon us to really take on that sort of thing. So yes, on site we usually have 2 hours in the morning, and yeah, these 2 hours in the evening, but it's just to go through. So what I will be doing, I think in the evening we shall study concepts, and then in the morning, that time probably we shall use it for more practice. Is that I think a good, is that ideal, Prime Maria? I think yeah, instead probably in the evening we shall study the concepts and then leave some homework, then in the morning we add on with the practice and stuff like that. Okay. Yeah, so let's get started. I think I can rewind and look at what we looked at in the morning. The map function. So I had started another. Okay, let me leave my work alone. And, yeah, so documents, build, and their React sessions. I think. Okay, so in one of our sessions, I think we shall. I would want to have a recap on transitioning from normal in the JavaScript, HTML, and CSS to how React appears. I think we had such a lesson, probably lesson 19. If it is needed, we shall have a recap. If not, we shall keep adding on these concepts. So if you need that recap, probably we can prepare it for the next session. So anyone in need of recapping that session? Yes, Maria? You are needed, or
No, no, no. Like, are you trying to say session 17 that had the React bits, or I don't know?
yes, I think that session where we created the React app and the Vite app, and
Yeah, I think it's session 17.
yes. So do you need a recap on those basics, or we just really continues with we just continue with the work we are supposed to?
Me, I'm good anyway.
Deborah needs a recap. All right, I think anyone else? All right, so I think yeah. So we have seen Deborah needs a recap. I think we shall have it sometime to come. So today we are going to cover the map function and also have some small additions to it, I think. So yeah. Okay, session 1 exercise. So let me create session 1. txt. So I think the major thing you need to know about a map is that a map is really used a lot in manipulation of data. So manipulation of data. So for example, if you have an array of something, we know that the data that comes back from probably from a server, from an API, is usually written in this format, and then inside maybe we have data that is written in these brackets. So this kind of data, let me say data 2 could be named, let me just say data 2. So here is data 1. So this kind of data is returned in an array. This is an array, and in this array, the best way to iterate over this data, iterating is moving over the data without changing the data itself, but making a duplicate which you can play around with, or which you can use to fit your need, is to use a map function. Yeah. So what we know about a map is like a for each function, but a map is used to iterate and then return something. So move across elements and then return something. I think we can have an example or a single example. Probably before we go any further, I can write those notes here. Let's hope my screen is visible. So one is map method. Creates its own array. Maybe I can say creates a new array from the data given, and then it manipulates that data. So it gives you the opportunity to leave the original data as it is. For example, you might be receiving data from an API, and then you need probably to save that data differently in another in a given database. Yeah, we are going to be looking at all those. So it will create its own array, and this is 1, 2. Map will loop through each function, in the array, and at every iteration it returns, my error is getting, at every iteration it returns a value from that array. Yeah, so I think that's one of its like cases. So probably if we are to have a syntax, not probably, but for its syntax, we can have maybe elements.map. So and in the map we have 3 parameters. We have an element. So probably if I had elements.map, we shall have an element index, which is the position of the value that is being returned from the array. And then the third parameter, which we probably don't use, is the array. Yeah. So this third parameter is used in case of reference of the entire array, but we probably don't use it. And then we have a callback function. Is it a callback? So I have a function, a return. Yeah, so in this we can have definitions of what the map is really doing, and then we end up having returning a value from the map. So I think as we go further, we shall have this in action. Yeah. Does that seem to be a bit understandable? Let me see if I can get feedback. Please, if you're really getting some pieces, you can give me a thumbs up. I also need to know if people are active. Yes, Maria?
Yes. Pardon me on the arrow function, please.
Okay, so if I'm to just have it, there is always, when you return something like this, let me say you have, and in here you have something like this. So I think this is the arrow function. It is very, very common in React. So this is the same. We have a map. We have a map before the function. Then inside it, we shall have an element to loop through and the index. Then have this arrow function, and then have the return in this thing. So they are in the curly braces. So are they curly braces? I think so. So there are sometimes when you have something like this, and then you just have this. So I don't know if I'm answering what you asked for, but literally in the map we have the map mapping over a given element. So here we can have probably elements. If you had, let me say, an array of elements, you could have elements dot map, something like this, and then return an element index array, and then inside here we have syntax, like we have operations, something to be done on these values that are being returned, and then we must have a return on the map. So we don't have a return on for each function, and most of the time if you use for each function in React, probably when you want to display some sort of data, it doesn't work. Like it will not show an error, but it will not also show the data. So yeah. And also it doesn't change the array of these elements. Yeah, so have I, okay, thank you, I've seen a feedback. Alright, so we can go a bit further. Actually I think to the 1 hour will be good. So we can look at when not to use the map function. Map function. So I think there are mainly two cases. So there is no need to use it in case or if you are not using you are not using the array, it returns. So just imagine you have this copy of the array and then you are not using it, and yeah, that will cause a lot of like insufficiencies in your React app. So if you're not going to use that array, if you don't want to display the values, or if you don't want to do, maybe it could be some calculations, if you don't want to do something with the array, then there is no need to use the map function. Yeah. And then also you should not use it if you don't have an intention, or if you are not returning a value from the array. So if you're not probably you don't have the return sort of thing, or you don't need to have the return. Yeah, I think send value from the callback, okay. I think after that probably we could look at an example. So there are very many examples like we can look at, but we can start with something I think simple. Maybe let me see if I can create map test.js. So I think we also had a map session with Mr. Prime. So we can have calling function on each item in an array. So we can have const numbers equal to 4, 8, 10, 15, and 16. So we can have also const double, so can be same as numbers.map. Here we can have one number or something you would want to name it. Sorry, this is a const. So const. Yeah, and then it's called a callback. I don't know why that word doesn't always sit with me, but it's a callback function. Yeah, so we return the number times 2. Then we can probably console log. Double. Control asterisk cd session 1. Let's see if it does node map test.js. So map test.js. So yeah, So it is starting with 8, 16, so it is doubling this number. So this is one way of using a map. We have the map and we have a return here. We have so numbers.map, pass in a number, and we have the return. Okay, so now we can take it on to rendering in JSX components. So in JavaScript libraries, and this is our second sample. So I think here if you've created a React app, so let me say npm create vite app at latest, or npx create React app, and then you have a React app. I can just create a new file, like to mimic probably landing.jsx. So let's say on your landing page you want to display some cards that are fetching data from somewhere. I think I had something like this, a card fetching some data from somewhere. So, and you want to direct to iterate over those cards. We could have it in a minimized version in something like this. So someone asked me whether import React is always there. It is not there, but since I've not really, it is not always a must, but since I've not just created the React app, I want it to be there for someone to know that this is a React sort of component. So landing.jsx, so yeah, you can say const landing. So probably I can have const fruits being given to apple, watermelon, papaya. Do we have any feedback? I think everything is okay. Okay, each element you mean? I think it was supposed to be that. I don't know. I don't know when that was asked. Tamarind, yeah. So here if I want to return a map, so I can, of course when you have a function like const, when you have a component you have to have a return, and what you want to display in that component will go in the return. So in here I could choose to have a div. So here you have the same syntax. So whenever we want to write JavaScript in JSX, we put it in curly brackets. Excuse me. Fruits.map. So we can have a fruit, an index, and then I'll call back. So yeah, before you have the return, so list. Here we can have the key is index, and then we return probably in here fruit at position index is fruit. Yeah, and then we return something like this. So the screen will display a list. Oh god. Will display a list of all the fruits. Yeah, in like this is the way we can generally use it. So any questions so far? So if there are no questions, generally my intention with this course is not really a rush through, but it is a grasp of React. So what I intend to do is to have a lot of practice, and then we mark each other. Oh yeah, when we meet, like somebody shows what they did. So yeah, for at least probably 2 weeks. 2 weeks cannot be that much. So that the best way to grasp these things is to practice like with the concepts in. Whenever you're learning something, it seems you're getting it until you're writing it, or like you're doing it by experience. So I just have like one thing. So yeah, this is 47 minutes, but actually it is huge. So you could rewrite it tomorrow before we take on a new concept. Yeah, you could practice, and then I think we shall be showcasing what we did, and then because at least I saw there is usually the biggest concept is maps, and others is CSS. Yeah. Yes, Prime. I don't know why I'm not hearing. Seems your microphone is.
Sorry, can you hear me now?
Yes.
So I was asking, I'm noticing that we're using the return function, and you said that for each function wouldn't display any content on the interface because it doesn't have a return statement, right? For each.
Yes.
So does that mean that every time we have to return something on the interface, we have to use an object that has a return method, rather a return statement?
You don't have to use an object that has a return statement, but map itself, like the syntax, must have a return. So that means it wasn't made in for each, and since also for each like changes manipulates the array, maybe it wouldn't be a fit, but I think it also has a fit. So this return inside the map is because of the map syntax.
Okay. Thank you.
You're welcome. Any other question? Yes, Maria?
I have a question about. Can you hear me?
Yes. Maybe you could get closer to your microphone.
Hello? Hello?
Yes, we can hear you. the bit
Yeah,
of
I have a question about of where to run. Let's say in this case you've given the landing.jsx. So are you trying to say that we're supposed to actually begin? Okay, like the normal we begin the front end, the front end part. Okay, like to run the React file. Basically, do you begin by maybe npm install, then you can feed in this into the app dot into the app.jsx, or I don't know.
all right. So let me see here. Am I audible? Okay. So I have session one exercise, and session one exercise here in my folder. So this I created this with vite. So I have src and I have app.jsx. So if app.jsx is only going to return that map, I can put it here. But let's say in this I have to return maybe a map from a component. So I can say maybe new folder. Yes, components. Let me just say land. I think I need to make them like capital. So and I put landing.jsx. So I can get whatever I have here, command A, copy, and go to this landing and paste it. So then access it in my app.jsx. I think let me close every other thing. So to access it in app.jsx, I'll first import, or even without importing, let me first delete all this up to here. And I can have something like this, landing. So when you look at this landing const, so here I have to, if I want to import it just as the main component of landing.jsx, have to put the export default landing here, or I can put const. I can put the export const here, export default landing here, export landing around here. I don't know how, but I usually put it down. So now in my app.jsx, I have to import it. So import landing from components, landing.jsx. So after that importing, let me go back and then see the session one exercise. npm run dev. So let me check my localhost. Yes, so you see it shows fruit at position 0 is apple, fruit at position 1 is watermelon, fruit at position 2 is papaya, like it is looping through all those elements. Yeah, thank you. Now I've known where I'm. So any other question? So if there are no questions, for the remaining time we are meant to go through that work, like to see where each one of us stopped, what you added. My pace will be based on completing on each and every one of us accomplishing that work, because for me, I remember most of the time when I could learn concepts, but to make sure that I have them is through that practice. So yeah, that's my priority. So I want to see people doing those tests. It looks like 47 minutes, but it can take days. So if we take a day or two on it, that's okay. Then we get another concepts, because they are around, I think, like 5 concepts, but to grasp them, you need to practice. So I want us to practice here on site. I'm going to be going through what each and everyone did. So tomorrow, those who are online, you can showcase in case you did something more. Yeah. All right. Any questions? Yes, Ronnie.
So you're going to go through the video. It's the assignment.
Yeah, the assignment is replicating the video with your own. You can use your own images, but replicating the video. Please use your own work. Yeah. And rewrite that code, let it flow through your hands, because the intention of this React is not learning React just per se, but learning to use it to a standard where it can bring in value. Yeah. All right. So thank you, everyone. If there are no questions, we can call it today's session. We meet tomorrow at the same time. All right. Have a great time.